Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Jade Gemini. Today I'm super excited to go and bring you a review of this big guy right here. This is the Kizer John Grey GPB 1. And today we're going to go ahead and go over what I like, what I love, what I dislike, and if it applies, what is rubbish about this guy right here. Before we do so, let's go ahead and get some size comparisons out of the way. This is it first with a great knife, and this is a QSP Penguin. So as you can tell, definitely much bigger with the Kizer. Another one as well is the beloved by me and a lot of others, or hated, Benchmade Bug Out, a knife that probably just about everybody has owned or at least had in their hands. And here's the overall thickness both of the blade as well as the handles. Although usually the bug out's a little contoured, still think this is a pretty good size comparison. So as you can tell, this is a really thick boy, which we'll go ahead and get in and talk about. So that all out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that I like here is, well, just Kizer's build quality, right? Kizer sort of set a precedence. I think this is actually a great place to start. Kind of set a precedence of being one of the first Chinese companies that people knew about that aren't like made in China, right? Meaning like the little gold sticker, but made in China, wow, right? And started this beautiful hobby where we have this beautiful melting pot of people all around the world that are making knives in different countries, and they're all, and most of them now are pretty good. And so they ended up kind of starting that. They were the first one that I can remember seeing. And as a matter of fact, what's special about this knife, which we'll kind of get into some other things, is my first titanium frame lock that I felt was premium was a Kizer Splinter, I believe is what they call it. And, you know, has that same fit and finish that people are known by, with the stonewashing and the bead blasting of the titanium, and just general overall fit and finish. So definitely a good thing to start out with. The other thing that I like about this knife is that being a frame lock, and well, just in general they're pretty easy, but especially this one is pretty easy to maintenance. It's just 3 screws and the knife ends up going ahead and coming apart. A kind of a fun, cheeky thing. I could see why people would not like this, but I like it because it gives it character, and it also is something that is on John Grey Customs, is it uses this big old Phillips looking screw, which is actually meant to use a coin, or like a quarter or a dime, to insert in there and adjust the knife on the fly, right? Now, probably not going to go ahead and be adjusting knives on the fly, but the idea itself is still cool in a pinch. So definitely a great thing to go ahead and like. The other thing is all the materials that are used here are premium, so nothing to have any problems with now. These days people are all about, oh, it's not M390, and then even M390 is a commoner still. I want to see just Magna Cutter Nitro V or something like that, but this has good old S35BN, which I love, never had problems with, never had it rust on me, is a little tougher than a lot of the other stainless steels, but yet can still hold an edge. And since Kizer's been dealing with this stuff for donkey's years, I'm pretty sure they know how to put a decent little heat treat on it as well. So nothing wrong there. Also good titanium here. There's not really too much to go wrong with it, and that's really great. Now, to be honest, there's so much to love about this knife. I'm kind of trying to hold myself back. So let me just go ahead and start jumping right into what I love about this knife so much. I mean, clearly the design, right? I mean, that is the thing. This is definitely a Marmite type knife. You either absolutely love the design or you absolutely hate it. It is weird, and that is because it's based off of the THUCC, the THUCC by John Grey, a custom. This one I think is more pretty because that one has kind of a curved up blade that goes like this, while this one is a little bit more you know, pointy and in the right direction. But this general purpose blade 1, GPB 1, is just that. The THUCC was like tactical, utility, kitchen, folder thing. And that basically is true here. This knife can be used as a kitchen knife, like this, being able to get your fingers out of the blade path or on a different angle as the inset blade path, so you could do some cuts, kind of like a santoku, I think is what they call it, knife, without the big hump at least. Has this sort of modified sheep's foot stabby blade where you can do rock cuts. It has belly to be able to cut through things. Also kind of like a yojimbo, you can get up here. There's this cutout where you can put your thumb and then you can get to work like a yojimbo in a tactical situation, right? It's a knife that covers every single roll. And what I love so much about it is the fact that it does it really freaking well. This thing slices amazing. If you look, this thing right behind the edge is micro thin. And even though it has this sort of saber grind, but this flat here, it really, really cuts well. The other thing to love is just to that design, this beautiful swedge, this little tiny bit of a harpoon, these gorgeous contoured, again, almost chef's knife. These ergonomics are literally Spyderco beating, I would say, in some sort of situations. The way it tapers back, it's a simple shape. It locks into the hand with this deep choil. It has this gorgeous cutout to be able to disengage the knife and flick it open. And that leads me right into the next thing. It's just the action of this big old power boy. I just, power, right? I love it so freaking much. It's sick, right? Like if Metal Complex has his Henders and he gets jazzed, this thing always doesn't get carried every day, but when it does, it is an event. It is special. It is awesome. And I just freaking love this knife, and I couldn't see my knife collection where I would get rid of just about every other knife and it would be this and the bug belt. And that's kind of what's happened. That's why I haven't seen a lot of content on the channel, to be realistic, because I've kind of felt like I've had everything under the sun and nothing really feels special anymore. Everything feels a little bit blah. Sorry, making pizza for the toddler. A little blah, a little bit like one and the same, all of that stuff. And this feels still, wow, crazy town. And especially with this just blisteringly sharpening job that Kizer does, the thinness behind the edge, this that can kind of go ahead and help, you know, penetrate. You can even choke up, get into packages just like this, real utility blade type stuff. You can reverse, you know, hold it. Not that I have any use for that, but just kind of cool. It's just awesome. I also love just the dedication with this big old pocket clip, this sort of flattened area that comes out here. Means there's absolutely no hot spot in the palm. It's just amazing and fun to hold and use. It also weighs a ton, which feels really cool. But that sort of gets me into the next thing, which you might not like about this. And that is, one, the knife itself is really big, really heavy, 7 ounces. There's no milling on the inside. Solid, crazy town, right? You know, the other thing is it's a kind of a Marmite knife. People say that's ugly, right? Big old pivot, that's weird. Don't like the big old pivot, right? It is what it is. That's why I love it. It's freaky and it's weird, right? But to some, they might think, I don't know, that's not really my style. And I can understand that. It makes 100% sense. The other thing is that because it is a little bit bigger, I can understand where maybe for some, even though I have pretty small, medium small hands is what I would say, you know, that it could be kind of hard to operate this because of, you know, sort of the proportions are sort of wide. The other thing is this is extremely tall in the pocket, which is something that you could dislike. Although this knife I love so much, I'm almost like, oh yeah, it's perfect, blah, blah, blah. But I'm, you know, as a consumer, saying things that I know others would say and think. The other thing is that when I first got this, I wish that there was some like cutting here, some texturing to go ahead and help grip. I've learned how to use the knife, as you can see here, but you know, even sometimes I feel like I slip out on this. Sorry, I can't stop fidgeting because it's so sick, that clink. which is another thing to love is the harmonics, but kind of hard to open, right, when you first get it, but once you get used to it, you can slow roll everything like that. But it could be hard for someone who's a beginner anyways to get into something like this. The other thing that I dislike is sometimes on the Kizer front, even though the fit and finish can be good, there is a hit and miss sometimes with their quality control that I've seen. With a lot of Kizer knives, I've had a problem, and only a few have been really good, and this one's been perfect, which I'm so glad this model of all of them was the one that was perfect. Also, to that point, sometimes they can have like sharp edges, like right here, where you get your finger up on choking. Also, this is like a little bit raw, not this sharp, but it just looks a little bit raw. There's like a divot here where you can see the reflection changes. So some people might be upset that that sort of thing, you know, isn't perfect, isn't 100% nailed down, but doesn't matter to me. Other than that, when you talk about what is rubbish about this knife, absolutely nothing other than the fact that it is disgustingly awesome and unique. And that's the other, the thing that is rubbish is the reason why I thought I might not ever review this is because this is actually discontinued, unfortunately. I would like to see Kizer bring this back, maybe in a small or a mini or the normal size. Maybe have a liner lock version with, you know, rich light or micarta, you know, just sort of spice it up and bring this back because this is such a sick knife. And what I love so much is this is that classic Kizer before they ended up switching companies or people ended up leaving, where they were putting premium designs and designers and everything. That first run of their titanium trim locks, this is one of those knives. And I feel this is super special. And if you can't tell, I freaking love this thing. So if you like big knives, and you don't want to go ahead and support certain manufacturers that say statements about certain groups of people that are not okay, and you're bald, and you have a shield with an M on it as a maker, but you want that sort of feeling of knife, this is a great way to support a American designer, which is a cornerstone of the knife industry, John Gray, but be able to get that sort of knife without having to spend, you know, now with inflation, over $500, $600. So anyways, all that being said, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please go and give it a like, as well as subscribe. I cannot thank you enough as well. We hit 1,500 subscribers. How is anyone listening to dumb me? 1,500 people, right? Insanity. So thank you so much for taking time to watch my little channel, as there's so many amazing other channels you could be watching right now, and you picked me, and that's really cool. Thank you so much. Of course, I hope everybody has a great weekend going ahead and coming up. Stay safe, enjoy the Super Bowl. Take care. Peace.